All right. We should be live. We should be good to go. All right. Yes, we are. Okay. Live chat up, ready. Wow. Some crazy stuff over the past few days, that's for sure. Definitely some eye-opening documents, you could say, or I guess an open letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney. April 12th, 2025. Guys, this is if this is like 100% legit, which it's looking like it is, it's not looking too good here. A lot of very big name liberal ministers, senators, just across the board, cabinet members, about 9 of them. And I don't know if there's more, but right now we have a list of 9. Marco Mendicino, probably butchered that last name, but as Minister of Public Safety to act in protecting Canadians abroad from potential arrests and detention, failed to respond on direction from Prime Minister Trudeau's office to address impropriety at CSIS and the RCMP, permitted breaches of law, breaches of process, and breaches of policy by both CSIS and the RCMP. Dominic LeBlanc, as we call him around here, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, failed as Minister of Public Safety to address breaches against Canadians with improper use of electronic spyware by CSIS and the RCMP. Failed to address breaches of the Canadian Charter of Rights, permitted breaches against labor unions by improper government use of spyware. Literally spyware. Jesus Christ. Failed to hold to account CSIS and the RCMP to their restrictions of operations in sensitive sectors of, hold on, national security. Wow. And failed to respond to these concerns after direction from the Prime Minister of Canada, which I would assume was Trudeau. Further, did not hold CSIS to account for withholding critical national security information from an active RCMP national security investigation. That's Dominic LeBlanc. But like, these are big names in the Trudeau cabinet so far, 2 of them. Dominic LeBlanc was dubbed finance minister briefly after Freeland left. And if I remember correctly, there was a clip going around of Dominic LeBlanc saying he was really bad at math. And what a better guy to put into a position of finance minister than a guy who sucks at math. That sounds like a great thing to do. Anyway, that's Dominic LeBlanc right there. Bill Blair failed as Minister of Public Safety by authorizing extreme powers for CSIS to undertake inappropriate actions against innocent Canadians. Wow, thank you, Bill Blair. Permitted breaches of the ministerial directive on national security operations in sensitive sectors, permitted breaches of Canadian Charter of Rights. Oh boy. Oh boy. David McGuinty failed as chair of NSICOP and recently Minister of Public Safety to address improper actions of CSIS. Oh, CSIS. Just getting away with a lot here. For withholding critical national security information from an RCMP investigation, failed to protect the Canadian Charter of Rights, failed to address risk to Canadian citizens abroad. Anita Anand. I believe I dubbed her Canada's Kamala Harris. She sounds just like her. It's kind of weird. Failed as the president of the Treasury Board to intercede and address improper use of spyware. Oh, good old spyware. By the RCMP against a labor union executive during a period of collective bargaining and unfair labor practice filing. Guys, it just gets worse and worse as it goes on. Did further fail to uphold the Canadian Charter of Rights and permitted the Treasury Board of Canada to engage in bad faith collective bargaining, knowing that serious breaches of law had occurred. Serious breaches of law had occurred. Steve McKinnon, another very popular or known cabinet member, failed as Minister of Labor to uphold the. They're all failing to uphold the Canadian Charter of Rights, which is just insanity. I think that is literal treason to like the highest degree. Failed to investigate breaches by the RCMP in labor designated sensitive sectors during a sanctioned labor activities and collective bargaining. Melanie Jolie, the MP that complained about the price of butter, but failed to recognize that the price of butter is regulated by the government. Wow, would you just gotta love that, right? Melanie Jolie failed as Minister of Foreign Affairs to address safety risks to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting in the public release of protected Section 38 national security documents by the RCMP and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada without redaction. One of my just all-time favorite liberal ministers, and I say that with the utmost sarcasm possible. Arif Virani, the Justice Minister of the Liberal Party, the guy who constantly claims he's doing everything he can for Canadians while crime has gone through the roof. Gun crime is at an all-time high. The Toronto Police Association. If you go to my most recent video, I talked about this and put this up there. Absolutely failing in every single way these policies to stop gun crime. And Arif Virani is at the helm of that. Failed as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada to address safety risks to Canadians traveling abroad to China. This is the same thing Melanie Jolie is in shit for here, clearly. And their family members in China, resulting from the public release of protected Section 38 national security documents by the RCMP and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada without redaction. And a massive name, literally a earth-shattering name for the Liberal Party that is... Guys, this is really bad. Chrystia Freeland, Trudeau's right-hand man or woman or whatever. Chrystia Freeland failed as Deputy Prime Minister to address reported breaches of labor rights, misuse of spyware technology by CSIS and the RCMP, breaches of charter rights. And this was submitted respectfully, highlighted down here by Sergeant Peter Merrifield and Detective Paul McNamara. Hopefully I said that right. And that's just 2 pages of a lot of stuff going on here, guys. Like, it just continues on and on. Disclosure page 1 of 7. It is whew, wild stuff. If you want to get into that, I will post the Twitter link in the chat and I will pin it to the top of the message board. Everybody and their grandma is covering this. Even my dad was talking about it yesterday. It's blown up to major proportions. All right, take a sip of water after reading all of that. Mark Carney has said he would balance the budget in 3 years. Well, to be honest with you, I thought the budget balanced itself. Meaning deep cuts to the services Canadians count on. You don't have to take our word for it. 8-year Liberal Minister Karina Gould agrees. NDP MPs will, okay, screw the NDP, but just take a listen to what Karina Gould says here.
Mark Carney has said 3 years, operational balance in 3 years. Doable?
No, I don't think it is. And I don't think it is something that we should be telling Canadians that we're going to do unless there's a lot of cuts that are coming.
So already, Mark Carney has been in power for, I don't know, about a month and a half, 2 months. He's running for Prime Minister of Canada, and you already have a Liberal minister, a very top Liberal minister as well, might I add, disagreeing with his policies already. Saying, nah, I don't think that's going to happen, guys.
Mark Carney has said 3 years, operational balance in 3 years. Doable?
No.
No, I don't think it is. Oh, okay. Alrighty then. There you have it. Liberal Party already going against its own word with a new leader at helm. Interesting stuff. As a matter of fact, it gets even more interesting. You literally nearly bankrupted the UK under your tenure as governor of the Bank of England. You were a disaster for Britain. You will be a disaster for Canada. Let's get some background here with Mark Carney.
J'ai eu de la chance de travailler dans une étroite collaboration avec M. Flaherty. Il était une très bonne ministre des Finances, mais j'ai travaillé avec l'ancien premier ministre ici au Québec, Jean Charest, par exemple. Et il y avait une grande crise dans un coin de marché financier, le papier d'adossé des actifs. Et c'était un problème énorme. Et moi, je l'ai réglé.
And I fixed it. Wow, it's just so full of himself. There was a big crisis in a corner of the financial markets, assets-backed commercially paper. It was a huge problem, and I fixed it. Mark Carney, the leader of fixing everything. Oh, really?
Wanting to get your thoughts on Mark Carney and your relationship with him while you were Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and any advice you have to Canadians who think he might make a good Prime Minister.
Well, Mark Carney was Governor of the Bank of England, and under his tenure, too much money was printed, which did damage to the British economy and put our economy off track. He, at the last election, endorsed Rachel Reeves' economic policy. She's now become Chancellor. It's been a disaster for Britain. The country is heading for bankruptcy. So I would strongly recommend not backing Mark Carney or his policies on net zero, which have been disastrous for Britain, would be disastrous for Canada.
And there you have it. Nearly on the brink of bankruptcy. Disastrous for Britain. Disastrous for Canada. There you have it. I don't know what else you really need to hear. Our parliament system, our political system is so close to the UK, it's literally almost, not almost one of one, but it's pretty damn close. You literally go to the Elections Canada website and it tells you our political system is essentially a stem of the UK. They built everything off of the UK's political system. So that doesn't tell you a lot. I don't know what does. I really don't. Do a bit of digging for yourself. I'm telling you, it's right there on the Elections Canada website, telling you straight up how our system works. Continuing on. Tiff Macklem says the economy was strong until Trump's tariffs, hinting at a possible recession in the second quarter. For the love of God, please do not let the past 2.5, 3 months distract you from the past 10 years of the Liberals running this country into the ground. My goodness gracious, the economy was not strong. If you call brand new tent cities popping up in your nearby park, a strong economy. I don't know. I mean, maybe a strong economy for the homeless people that get to hang out with each other. I don't think so, though. I really don't think that's how that works. That's not what a strong economy looks like. Take a look at BC. It's not a strong economy over there. Homeless population at levels we've never seen before. Food bank usage at the highest rates we've ever seen. I always bring it up because it's just fact. The thousands of people that lined up for produce that was going to get tossed away or that couldn't be sold in grocery stores, it's literal insanity for the Bank of Canada to sit here and go, the economy was really strong and we were doing very well. Right, that's why Trudeau resigned. That's why Chrystia Freeland resigned. That's why they were afraid to hand out the financial documents from last year. It's just insanity.
Today, Governing Council maintained the policy interest rate at 2.75% following 7 consecutive cuts. The Canadian economy ended 2024 in good shape. Inflation had been close to the 2% target since last summer. The substantial interest rate reductions since last spring had boosted household spending, economic growth had picked up, and many businesses were telling us the economy had renewed momentum. Since then, the dramatic protectionist shift in U.S. trade policy and the chaotic delivery have increased uncertainty, roiled financial markets, diminished global growth prospects, and increased inflation expectations. The path for U.S. trade policy remains highly unpredictable. There's also considerable uncertainty about the impacts of a trade war on our economy. At our monetary policy decisions in both January and March, Governing Council reduced the policy interest rate a further 25 basis points as threats of higher U.S. tariffs escalated. A lot has happened since our March decision 5 weeks ago, but the future is really no clearer. We still do not know what tariffs will be imposed, whether they'll be reduced or escalated, and how long all of this will last. At this meeting, we decided to hold our policy interest rate unchanged as we gain more information about both the path forward for U.S. tariffs and their impacts. Monetary policy cannot resolve trade uncertainty or offset the impacts of a trade war. What it can and must do is ensure that Canadians continue to have confidence in price stability. Our focus will be on assessing the downward pressure on inflation from a weaker economy and the upward pressure from higher costs. We will support economic growth while ensuring inflation remains well controlled. Faced with pervasive uncertainty, Governing Council will proceed carefully with particular attention to the risks. That means being less forward-looking than usual until the situation is clearer. It also means we are prepared to act decisively if incoming information points clearly in one direction. Let me now turn to what we're seeing in the...
All right, so you get the gist of all of that. It's just sitting there telling you, look, yes, the tariffs realistically have impacted our economy. There's no denying that. And us going into a trade war with the States has not improved things at all. But the economy was not good by any means before this started happening. It just simply wasn't. And if you want to sit there and say it was, then you're probably backed and paid for by Trudeau's Liberal government. I don't know what else to say. You take a look around you, everything is more expensive than it ever has been. You have police kicking tons of people out of parks because they have nowhere to live. You call that a strong economy? That's not a strong economy. It's just crazy. Moving onward, tonight, I believe in roughly, it says roughly 3 hours. I'm not entirely sure when this is supposed to start because they changed the time. Said it was supposed to be 8 p.m., then possibly 6 p.m. It says 6 p.m. there, Eastern Standard Time in Montreal. The first debate will take place in French. Hopefully, it says here English translation. I will be live for this debate. Hopefully, the English translation is half decent. I mean, we all know how the House of Commons is. We all know how question period is from time to time. So hopefully, this translation is actually solid. But I will be live for this, and there is a full English debate happening tomorrow. I don't know if it's happening around the same time, but when tomorrow comes, I will go live for that debate as well. It's going to be very, very interesting because Mark Carney has pretty much come out and said his French isn't very strong at all. And he kind of admits it. He says he's working on it every single day. And he kind of nervously laughs his way out of this one. Let's take a listen.
For the follow-up. By your own admission, you said that your French is about a 6 out of 10. Given the stakes of tomorrow's French language leaders debate, how nervous are you?
I look forward to the debate. There are many. These announcements, our platform, your questions, the media's questions as a whole, the debates, interviews, they're all part of the process. Online information, our website, visit our website, etc. It's all part of the process of making sure that Canadians are well informed to make a choice in the most important election of our times. Look, I work on my French every day. I improve, but I think I improve. On verra. C'est pas pour moi d'être le juge, these debates are.
That was absolutely brutal. Like, my French is terrible. It's absolutely atrocious, and I'm not even gonna attempt it. But my God, he is the prime minister. He should be fluent in both language. Honestly, if it were me, I would say get rid of the French language altogether. Just stick with English. But that's how our country works. And to be prime minister, you have to speak both. And that was fucking embarrassing.
They're important, but they're part of a bigger communication with Canadians in this crucial election. And I'm pleased. Let's say one other thing, if I may, which is, I think my sense is that Canadians are more engaged in this election than they have been for decades. You see it. There's a variety of ways that that's clear, and I think it's very heartening. I mean, regardless of who they end up voting for and supporting, Canadians recognize how important this choice is, which is why, and I personally recognize it, which is why I'm standing before you and putting myself forward to help solve this crisis and build an economy that works for everyone.
All right, well, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely do not want another liberal term. My goodness, we've had a decade of it. I think that's enough. Just want to thank Capital Clips for providing that one right there. We are going to be moving on to Pierre Poilievre. Stop scammers targeting our seniors. I agree. Scam calling, scam emails, text messages across the board has become such a major problem, and targeting the older generations, the seniors, the people who've worked their entire lives just to get scammed by somebody who claims they're a Michael or a Tom or a James that doesn't sound like a Michael, Tom, or James, if you get what I mean here. Yes, we need to be extremely harsh on scammers. Get them out. And I know a lot of it is scam call centers from foreign countries, and not a lot can be done unless said foreign country goes out of their way to remove the center. But my God, this stuff, it's only going to get worse too. With AI technology getting stronger and stronger, it's getting very hard to differentiate what is real and what is fake. I see it all the time. People falling for AI things daily. Scamming is going to get real bad. It's going to get bad very quickly.
Important announcement as we approach the key decision day in this change election. And the decision, of course, is that after a lost Liberal decade of skyrocketing cost of living and crime, do the Liberals deserve a fourth term? Or is it time for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash home building and resource development, bring home our jobs to make our country strong for a change? That's the decision before us. But one of the things we have to do to bring home the Canadian promise, the promise that hard work gets you a good life in an affordable house on a safe street, is to protect our seniors. Imagine spending your life working hard, saving carefully, preparing for your retirement, only to see it all disappear seconds after a scammer comes in and takes over. One call, one click, and it's gone. Unfortunately, this is the experience of thousands of Canadians who have fallen victim to increasingly sophisticated frauds in recent years. After the lost Liberal decade with costs and crime up, the most vulnerable Canadians, especially our seniors, are left behind. They cannot risk a fourth Liberal term. A growing threat to all Canadians, but especially seniors, is predatory telephone and online scams. Let's hear some examples. An 81-year-old Montreal woman robbed of $100,000 when someone called pretending to be from her bank in a telephone scam described as sleek and professional. And in June of last year, again, right here in Montreal, 8 young men and women were scammed out of $30 million. 8 young men and women carried out a scam of seniors worth $30 million. According to conversations recorded by and obtained by police, the scammers started each call with the words, "Hi, Grandpa, hi, Grandma." And in Ottawa last year, 2 seniors were scammed out of $500,000 each in a new and sophisticated version of what the police call the grandparent scam, where criminals claim to be loved ones having financial trouble and needing money for bail. And in the recent and possibly the most harrowing case of all, a grandmother received a call late at night from what she thought was her son, telling her he had been arrested and needed thousands of dollars for bail. Only it wasn't her son. It was criminals using AI to mimic her son's voice, exactly designed to convince her to pay up.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. The AI technology, it's the toothpaste is out of the tube at this point. There's no putting it back in. AI is only going to get stronger, more intelligent, like air quotations, intelligent. And it's just going to get better, from voice manipulation to video to picture. Man, you've got to be careful. Got to be very, very careful.
Can you imagine that? Do you imagine your 80-year-old mother getting a phone call from a voice that she thinks is yours, and you are asking her for money? Of course, your loving mother or grandmother would do anything for her kids or grandkids. And that heart of gold then makes her vulnerable to the worst, most sociopathic scam artists. How could anyone use the altruism of a mother to rob them of their life savings? It is appalling. In 2022, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Detection Centre received 17,000 reports of scammers targeting seniors, totaling $137 million in losses. That's just the tip of the iceberg, because only 5 or 10% of these cases even get reported. But we've all seen them. The suspicious text messages and robocalls, sometimes they're easy to spot, but not always. But with AI and other technologies, the scams are more sophisticated and persuasive. Anyone can be taken in, and successful scams can drain savings within minutes. A lifetime of hard work can be robbed from the most wonderful people. These scams are a source of real anxiety for seniors who may worry that technological development means they can't trust anything is real anymore. Family members of older parents and grandparents know the stress well. I have 2 parents that are over 80. I'm not going to tell you exactly their age because my mother will kill me. She never told me her age. She accidentally entered it in Facebook when she set up her account, and that was how I finally learned her exact age. But anyway, we won't. She's still 39, if the truth be told, and she's my most important advisor. But we all love our parents, and we worry about them. We worry that life is becoming more complicated and dangerous for them, and that's why we need to protect our seniors, especially in this modern age. But the bad news is that after the lost Liberal decade, no action has been taken. No mandatory detection, no mandatory reporting, no accountability, even though these tools exist. That's why today I am announcing our plan to stop scammers who target Canadian seniors. We're going to pass the Stop Scamming Seniors Act, a common-sense law that forces banks and telecom companies to deploy state-of-the-art technology to catch scams and stop them before they happen, not after, when it is too late. This plan has a number of key steps. 1, we will mandate real-time scam detection systems by banks and telecoms, starting with seniors' accounts. 2, we will require automatic flagging and blocking of suspicious activity like unusual transactions or robocall traffic. 3, we will create the Seniors Transaction Shielding Protocol, a 24-hour hold on a high-risk transaction for seniors or anyone else who requests this extra protection, with mandatory verification before money leaves their accounts. 4, we will impose public reporting requirements so Canadians know how many scams are being blocked or missed. 5, we will impose mandatory jail time of 1 year for $5,000 of fraud, 3 years for a fraud of over $100,000, 5 years for fraud over $1 million, and minimum fines that are 10 times the size of the frauds committed. You steal 50 grand, you'll pay 500 grand on top of your jail sentence.
Boom! That's massive. That needs to be implemented right away. If you scam somebody for X amount of money, you have to pay tenfold. That's it. See you later. You're done for. You steal $1 million, have fun paying 500 million back. But it's seriously though, these penalties should be massive. They're destroying people's lives, taking everything they have earned. Or maybe they want to go after your Social Security or your TFSA, whatever it is. They want to destroy your life for their own gain, and they don't give a flying shit about you. These people should receive the harshest penalty possible, and that's just what it comes down to.
We want to financially cripple the fraudsters to deter their greed. 6, we will introduce tough penalties with up to $5 million per violation for companies that fail to deploy the latest technology to stop scams. 7, we will create a new criminal code offense, willful blind profiteering from fraud, holding executives criminally responsible if they knowingly let scams go unchecked. Our seniors deserve to feel safe and secure when they pick up their phones, iPads, or computers. So if you are a bank or telco, we want you to do everything you can to protect our beloved seniors who built this country. Under my government, we're going to stop these fraudsters, period. All Canadians deserve protection from crime. But under 3 terms of Liberals, all they've gotten is broken promises and failed policies. Violent crime is up 50%, gun crime up 116%, gang homicides up 78%, auto theft up 46%, and extortion up an eye-watering 357%. Enough. We need a new Conservative government that will stop crime, protect victims, and get criminals off the street locked behind bars, not on bail, not on parole. Only a new Conservative government will do that. We'll pass a 3 strikes you're out law, making anyone who's done 3 serious crimes ineligible for bail, parole, probation, or house arrest, with a minimum of 10 years behind bars and earned release required after that through perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and learning an employable skill. We will give life sentences to traffickers of human beings, of guns, and of fentanyl. And we will reintroduce a law that allows judges to impose consecutive sentences for multiple murderers. We will ensure multiple murderers never get out of jail. They will come out only in a box. Common sense sentencing with no more discounts for multiple murderers. Now, on this point, I have to say I was shocked by the incendiary comments of Mark Carney yesterday. Yesterday, Mark Carney said it was dangerous to keep multiple murderers in jail for life. Mr. Carney, do you know what's dangerous? Murder is dangerous. What's dangerous is Liberal laws that allow repeat murderers and repeat violent offenders to be released again and again on our streets. That is what's dangerous. You know what else is dangerous, Mr. Carney? Your house arrest law, passed by Liberals, which you want to keep in place, that allows the most violent predators to do their sentences in the comfort of their living room watching Netflix. Liberal law C5 allowed more than 700 sex offenders in Quebec to do their sentences at home. That's a 600% increase. Conservatives will repeal this dangerous Liberal law. You know what else is dangerous, Mr. Carney? Liberal Bill C-75, which lets violent criminals free within hours of their most recent arrest over and over and over again. You know what's dangerous, Mr. Carney? Last week in Vancouver, a man set 2 police officers on fire. We have since learned that the criminal who attacked these officers was out on bail and had 10, count them, Mr. Carney, outstanding charges, including for violent crimes. That's dangerous. And you know what's most dangerous of all? A 4th Liberal term of catch and release crime and chaos in our streets. So that's the choice. After a lost Liberal decade of skyrocketing crime and cost of living, of criminals released again and again, do you want to give them a 4th term, or is it time for a change with a new Conservative government that will lock up criminals and make life affordable? Canadian seniors cannot afford a 4th Liberal term of crime and chaos. They need change. They need a new Conservative government that will restore Canada's promise, and that is what we will do. Not only will we protect seniors from crime, we will cut their income tax by 15%, allow them to earn up to $34,000 tax-free, and to keep their savings growing longer, should they so choose. Because the Canadian promise belongs most of all to the people who built our country, our seniors, our loved ones, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents. They deserve the Canadian promise, that their hard work gets them a beautiful home on a safe street under our proud flag. That's the change we want. Let's put Canada first for a change and bring it home. Thank you.
Merci. Just to answer the chat, I just kind of say it how I see it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I definitely lean more conservative, 100%. I try to give unbiased takes and opinions, but it's really so hard, especially after 10 years of what's happened here in this country. It would be extremely difficult to defend literally any of that. So right now, yes, I am fully lean conservative. I have voted conservative my whole life. And look, man, if Pierre isn't the man to change this country and bring it back around, I don't know who else is. I'm just being real at this point. I don't want another term of Liberal. The NDP, what are they going to do? Sell out our country? Most likely. Jagmeet sells out to everybody. And the Green Party, I don't even know what their policies are, other than probably planting trees and celebrating and throwing a big party if they actually ever won a federal election. So yeah, as of right now, looking like a conservative vote for me. The PPC, look, they came out very strong back in 2020. They had a very large push initially, but they've tapered off so hard. And I've seen a couple of their rallies, and they kind of just come off as like another NDP. And I'm not from Quebec, so I won't be voting Bloc, just to put it lightly. Anyway, let's get into these reporter questions, shall we?
Honda qui fait beaucoup réagir aujourd'hui. Est-ce que vous pensez que c'est le temps voiture?
Épouvant que Jacques ont des avatars sur l'année des gens formation volontaire for. Thank you. En anglais. Non, on va pas laisser tomber. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, President Trump deserves nothing but condemnation for the unfair targeting of Canada. While he's lifting tariffs and backing down on tariffs all around the world, he continues to tariff our auto sector. We can't, there's nobody who's going to be able to control President Trump, as Mr. Carney is learning, despite his promises. What we should do is focus on what we can control, and that is to reverse the disastrous liberal economic policies that Mr. Carney advised Trudeau to take that have driven up taxes, blocked our resources, wrapped our businesses in red tape, and driven $500 billion south. We need change. We can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need change to axe taxes, cut red tape, approve resource projects, make this the best place in the world to do business. That will allow us to, once again, be a country where hard work pays off with a great paycheck and a reliable job in an affordable house on a safe street. We need is change. This is a change election. Change so that you can afford food and a home. Change so that your paycheck grows faster than your cost of living. Change so that you're safe in your neighborhood. Thank you.
Merci. Prochaine question.
No,
Yeah, I can't lie. I am not pleased with Doug Ford at all. Like, I've said it time and time again. He's literally a liberal in conservative clothing. Doug Ford and his advisor, Corey, busted sending plants to discredit Pierre Poilievre rallies. Doug Ford is intentionally trying to derail Pierre. This move is straight out of a liberal playbook. Doug Ford is a liberal traitor. And yeah, I don't even know, man. There was a press conference where he got pushed up by reporters and they asked him a bunch of questions and he couldn't even just say, yeah, I'll back Pierre. He's said Mark Carney's a super intelligent guy. He's said all of these things, man. Doug Ford needs to fucking take a step back and honestly just shut up. Like, he is screwing up quite a bit right now. He is not coming off as a conservative at all. And I get it. He has this whole thing where he doesn't believe in political stripes and he's willing to work with anybody, and that's fine. If you're willing to sit down and have a conversation with people. But you're a part of this party. You should want these policies to be put in place if that is the party you are a part of. And to sit here and go, well, Mark Carney is super intelligent and he doesn't come out and back Pierre, doesn't give a flat out answer of, yeah, I think Pierre is a good choice for the future of Canada or anything around those lines. He just dances around the question and fuck, man. Doug Ford is an interesting character, to say the very least. I'm not too pleased with him.
we should not lift the counter-tariffs.
Good morning. Sorry. Morgan Lowry, Canadian Press. On a different topic, I was wondering if you could tell us what you mean concretely when you say you'll end woke culture in the public service and the military.
Very simply, after a lost Liberal decade of dividing Canadians, turning people against each other, and weakening our armed forces, we need to put Canada first. We need to unite all Canadians around our common promise, a promise that hard work gets you a great life on a safe street, and by the way, in an affordable home under our proud flag. Unfortunately, the Liberals have been distracted from that mission. You know, I think, for example, their woke criminal justice agenda, which releases the same radically violent criminals onto our streets again and again and again. Instead of that, we should lock up the criminals. Their woke agenda on spending has doubled our debt, given us the worst inflation in 40 years, so that single moms are having to turn back some of the groceries that they're trying to buy when they get to the till and see the price, and has endangered our people in our streets. We need to reverse that, get back to Canadian values of living within our means, leaving more in the pockets of the hardworking people, and letting people get ahead. So the election is really about change. Do you want a fourth Liberal term of skyrocketing costs and crime? Or do you think it's time for a new Conservative government that will change things so you can afford food and homes and be safe on your street? Thank you.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. pénalité violence, les taxes et les
Bonjour, M. Poilievre,
Oui, bonjour.
Arnaud de la presse canadienne.
Cette première dans le crime violent spécifique, mais parler, parce que je peux vous donner, j'ai donné beaucoup d'exemples, vous voulez parler de votre loi de gagne, pénalité quiconque et quand on est criminel, ne pas prendre le risque d'une
So much French today, guys.
4%. When Conservatives were last in power, we brought in mandatory jail time for serious repeat offenders. Violent crime went down by 25%. And incarcerations actually dropped because it deterred crime. Since the Liberals took office and passed catch and release, house arrest, and the get-out-of-jail-free card for Paul Bernardo, violent crime has exploded, up 50%. Gun crime, since they started got rid of the mandatory jail time for gun offenses, gun crime is up 116%. Murders by gangs, up 78%, right after the Liberals passed catch and release bail. Car theft went up 46% after Liberals brought in house arrest for car thieves who can now sit around in their living room playing Grand Theft Auto while they're serving their sentences. Extortion went up 357% after the Liberals eliminated mandatory jail time for extortion with a gun. So those are the facts. You let repeat violent offenders back out on the street, you get more crime under the Liberals. That's the record. We cannot afford the danger and risk of a fourth Liberal term of catch and release criminal justice. We need a change to lock up repeat offenders, make our streets safe, and restore the Canadian promise with a new Conservative government.
Merci. On va maintenant passer à la dernière question.
Morning. Christopher Nardi from the National Post. I'm going to quote a well-known parliamentarian and say this is just a simple yes or no question. Will you defund the CBC within 100 days of government?
I don't have a time frame, but we've already said, I've already made my position clear on that, and it hasn't changed. We're going to defund the CBC and let Canadians enjoy it as a non-profit, self-funded organization. Yeah, which is what I've said all along, while protecting services at Radio-Canada, because without Radio-Canada, the francophones across the country would not have access to that information.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. On a déjà dit.
All right, I would assume that is the final question. He just probably answers it in French. Yeah, get rid of the CBC, please. All right, guys, for some reason this is in theater mode and I can't undo it, but in about 4 hours, the federal leaders will be getting together for the French language debate. This is going to have an English translation, interpretation. Like I said, hopefully it is good. And it's not just people talking over each other and we can't understand anything and the translation sucks ass. Hopefully it's good. This is going to be happening, or supposedly happening, at 6 p.m., going live at 5:45 p.m., as you can see there. I will be live probably at 5:50, 5:40, whatever, around that time. Before this happens, I will be live for this debate and the debate tomorrow. So I just want to let everybody know that if you are interested, you could stop by later or you can go watch it for yourself on whatever. That is happening in roughly 4 hours. That is going to do it for today's NPC update, though. A bit of a shorter one. I typically go over an hour, or roughly an hour, about 10 minutes shorter, but I will be live in about 4 hours. So I will see you then if you are here. Thank you for watching today's show, live stream, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you are from, and I will see you later tonight. Take it easy, everybody.